This is another Disney podcast production.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to this week's episode of another Disney podcast. I think you guys will be hearing this episode the week of the 18th. We are coming up on Christmas time. Last week, we revisited some of the stuff we will never see again at Walt Disney World. We said goodbye at sunset in 2021. So that was a fun look back, and we are super excited to be with you guys today to check out this next topic. It's something we talked about 2 weeks ago, and we were super excited about it, and we just wanted to come up with some more stuff to talk about. So last week we figured we'd look back, and this week we're going to look forward. So yeah. I'm super excited.
I feel like that's the next best direction to go.
That's the next best direction indeed. How was your week?
It was pretty good. So I told you that I've been working from home since mid-November, and it's been, I know several people have transitioned to that like full time, but like I work in like a studio where we do like productions and live productions, but I'm on this huge post production. How many words? Okay. Drink every time I say production, but I'm doing a whole bunch of post work. And I was like, do I really have to drive 35 minutes each way to like, when I can just sit at home? And my boss was like, yeah, sure. So like I get to spend the last month and a half at home, which has been fantastic, especially that most of this time the kids were in school. So it's a nice quiet house. So anyway, things are good. Things are good. I like even my wife said this morning, which this is a good thing. We're going to miss having you home. And I'm like, okay, that means I'm doing something right. Like
doing something right.
I don't hear that all the time. Usually they're I expected to hear what day do you go back to work?
Are you still here?
Yes. Oh man,
that's good. That's good.
Yeah. How are things in 7 minutes from Magic Kingdom?
Things are good. Christmas is in full swing at the Kingdom. We still got the very merriest after hours happening.
Nice.
There's one tonight. I think there's only a couple more. I think the last one is on Tuesday.
Yeah. When did they start that? The parade and all that stuff will be just every day in the park.
Correct. I think that was this week they started the daytime parade. So you'll be able to see that if you're at the Kingdom this week. But yeah, we have tonight, tomorrow, Sunday, and Tuesday will be the last very merriest after hours. I'll miss being scared to death in my bedroom and in my bed at 11:15 on these evenings. The other night I swore that they were lighting them off in my yard. It was so loud. I'll have to send you the video when we're done. I'll have to send you the video because I taped it to show how loud it was in my house.
Wow.
It was insane, but I'll miss that. But
now there's more than one moment in that show that is area fireworks, right? What do you call
perimeter.
It? Perimeter.
Perimeter. There's it starts off just regular behind the castle fireworks, and then as you get closer and closer to the end, they start coming from perimeter. Now they're not full perimeter fireworks. They're not like at
July 4th or
old parties,
New
July
Year's
4th, New Year's. There's like 5 or 6 different launch places. This just has 3, but it's still plenty cool, plenty loud. It's awesome. And we actually went to California Grill, shocker, on Friday for dinner, and it was great. We actually got to be up there for both fireworks shows. So we made it up there for Enchantment, which, it's the same up there. It's the same up there as it is on Main Street. But we did get to stay up for the very merriest or Minnie's Christmas fireworks up there too. So we saw both of them, which was cool.
I sent you a Twitter link today. Since you're bringing up Disney's Enchantment, it was, I overheard someone in Epcot say Disney Enchantment would be good if Happily Ever After didn't exist. And then they were like, and I've never heard a truer statement in my life.
100% true. If you had never seen Happily Ever After, you will love Disney Enchantment. And I know there's people that may listen to us that have never been to Disney World. They just love Disney World, so they listen to us to get ready for Disney World.
Yeah. Enjoy your bliss and ignorance.
You will love Enchantment. It's fantastic.
Yeah. I don't know if my wife ever saw it because we went during Christmas in 2017.
That's true.
Oh, what a sad thought. Well, we watched it at home a lot. Okay, so did we introduce? Well, we did. We talked about past this week. We're talking about things moving forward. Now, as you know, we love to be horribly wrong about all of our predictions, but I feel like what we've come up with for tonight, Brandon did a good job compiling. He did a great job compiling all of this stuff, and so Disney is like anybody else in this new era world we live in. They're not saying like, hey, this launches February 1st, right?
Yeah.
There's none of this kind of stuff. So we're going to look at the first quarter of 2022 and what we think or what Disney has talked about. And again, all of this is subject to change because who knows what the world's going to move forward. Who knows? There's still, I'm sure workers are a challenging thing because I know they are here and people just not taking jobs. So, and construction projects just get behind anyway. I mean, this is a better time of year because there's much less rain for you guys down there. But still, all of this is kind of like we've compiled and talked through and thought this stuff should, and most of this is according to Disney, launch like in the first quarter of 2022. Now, one thing that will be absent from this is new attractions.
Correct.
But there's a lot going on.
Those that are scheduled to open in the first quarter, maybe not even in the second quarter, the way things are going. Construction on two of the main attractions is still super slow.
Yeah.
So I don't anticipate that any of those are going to be open.
No.
At least, maybe by holiday next year.
Yeah, hopefully. Sometime before the end of the 50th, which is 2027.
Yes.
Kidding. Okay, I want to let's just jump right in, and we'll talk about some interesting news stories that happened at the end of the show. We'll say this for the end because there's one in particular that was wild. But so let's look at the first quarter of 2022, and then of course beyond as some of these dates or time frames will shift. And so we talked a little bit about this week, so this is a good one to start off with. I mean, we just talked a little bit about this last episode, and I think this is a good one to start off with. And so with Magical Express ending, we talked about Mears Connect is starting. And of course, this is a paid service. There's definitely different options and price points. So they have a standard and a premium. And the biggest difference, there's a lot of differences between the two. The biggest differences between the two are the fact that the standard is you could potentially make a lot of stops before you get to your particular hotel, where the premium is going to be a little bit more direct, meaning less stops. And of course, there's going to be, I know the prices are all out, but I haven't memorized them. Don't have them in front of me, but I'm glad that this still exists but at the same time, I don't know if it's cheaper than an Uber.
It might not be.
It's hard to weigh, and because there's everything, prices are always fluctuating, and unfortunately, rental cars are through the roof. So it's not even. I don't think right now it's economically a good idea to rent a car. I think, as all these years I've been coming to Disney, I would say my average is probably, 160 for 4, 5, 6 days of renting a car. And now it's like, you're not getting a week for less than $700.
Yeah.
So it's pretty intense. So even with these prices, it's still going to be much more economical than renting a car, but there are some huge advantages. I almost always get a vehicle. How many times have I said that? Okay, so I veered off. But and one of the things that we talked about is obviously they can't plaster. One of the fun things about the Magical Express was all of the Disney.
Decor.
Yeah, the Disney was, you threw up Disney on the outside of the bus. You threw up Disney on the inside of the bus. There was the cool video that you watched almost the majority of the way, all the way to your hotel. And then obviously pre-COVID, like you didn't even have to get your bag. So all of that, you're not going to get that, but I'm hoping there's some kind of, if you don't know, Mears is DeWalt colors. So it's like yellow and black. And so it's not exactly, doesn't feel like vacation.
No, it doesn't exactly make you think, oh, that's a Disney bus. We're going to Disney on that thing.
That one was kind of low hanging fruit. Obviously that is something that's going to be happening because the Magical Express ends in just a few days at the end of 2021. So yeah, that's one that we definitely know is starting. We definitely have a starting date.
Yes. That is one that we can be 100% sure that Disney is 100% accurate on their date. Mears Connect. Yeah.
Dunzo.
Yep.
So there you go. It'll be interesting to hear the reviews and see what people talk and see what the prices and like learn the routes, right? That's a whole other thing. Like obviously, how bad is that standard? Like if you're like if the standard one goes to 10 hotels, that stinks. I don't even know if there's 10 hotels, but
I mean, it's worth paying. I think it's like $15 a person each way for the standard multi-stop one. And then it's like $28. So if you're looking at a hotel stop at like 5 hotels, like to me, it's worth paying $14 more to get something more direct.
Yeah.
I mean, and when you think about it, you're coming to Disney. Everything here is expensive.
Yes.
Like $30 to get a ride on a bus is really not that bad. So this is another one of those things like we talked about with the Genie. Like I thought it was going to be a lot more expensive than this. Mm-hmm. So, everybody was like, Magical Express is going away. It's going to be awful. We're going to have to pay for it. And then it comes out and it's like $16. And I'm like, I mean, that's not, you spent $9,000 to come to Disney. I think you can afford $16. So it'll be interesting to see, but yeah.
Like I want to say that shuttle that like you take from the Vegas airport to your hotel is like $30 each way.
Oh yeah.
And I'm all like, I'm paying that. Every penny.
I just have to go to the airport and try it out just for fun.
There you go. Yes. I love it.
So yes, we know that one is definitely coming. Another one that we know I won't say we know, but we're pretty sure that will be coming in the first quarter of 2022. When we've talked a little bit about it, there has been plenty of videos online. There has been they showed it on D23, but it is the Magic Band Plus. So for those of you who don't know, the Magic Band Plus, it's going to be an enhanced version of the Magic Band that currently exists. We know that those were phased out. And now we see why they were phased out. But they were phased out in favor of this. This is going to be a much more advanced Magic Band, and it's obviously going to cost a much more advanced price. But it's going to be cool. It's going to have interactive features that allow you to interact with the Fab 50 statues in the parks. It's going to do things, light up, vibrate, depending on where you are in the parks. And it's also going to be synced with fireworks shows and nighttime entertainment. So I'm looking forward to it. I say, it's going to be $50. I'm not buying one, but the first time in the park and they're available, I'm going to have one on my arm. So I'm excited about that, but we're pretty sure that that's going to be around first quarter of 22.
Yeah, I think that's, we talked a little bit about this last week. I don't remember if it was pre-show or on show, but I was like, man, if they could figure out some kind of way to make it wear every day, like an Apple Watch, I would be interested. Just have their Disney theme. Obviously it's not going to be that interactive, but like put a screen on it and let's roll.
Yeah.
But you're not going to get one of that caliber for $50 unless Disney's not in the business of giving money away. So
yeah, no, I mean, there could be different categories. Like you could get the base Magic Band Plus that, lights up for fireworks. And then you get the Magic Band Plus that does the fireworks shows, and then you get the plus that interacts with the Fab 50 statues. Right. So Disney's smart. They have tiers for everything, so I don't see why they wouldn't have different tiers to unlock different options with one of these. Yeah,
should be cool. I mean, I kind of moaned and complained a little bit about. I was so glad when they did away with free Magic Bands, because that would be less of these ending up in a landfill. Of course, I have 2 Disney cups full of like 35 of them up here. But yeah, I was shocked to see, but if it's a way to make $50 a pop, I mean, what family of 4 is not going to want to go for their few times that they go, once a year, once every couple of years, I mean, that's $200 more that didn't exist for Disney that now does, right? I mean, that's crazy. So makes sense to me from a fiscally responsible standpoint. Find a way to make money.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay,
and I was also thinking about.
Oh, go ahead.
I was also thinking about something with this. You know how they have the PhotoPass, they have magic shots. Like, what if there was a way that they could build in, you scan your Magic Band Plus, and there's all sorts of crazy wide range of different magic shots that you could put in. So like the photographer doesn't have to do it, but because you have this special band with the, that chip in it, you could be like, all right, let's put balloons. Let's put this,
Yeah.
So that'd be kind of cool.
I feel like there's tons of opportunity with this for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's talk about this one. I'm not even going to say I'm cautiously optimistic, but at least there's legit movement. And so that is the Magic Kingdom Railroad that has literally been closed since 1957. It started testing, and the tracks are being constructed underneath the Tron structure. So that is huge. Like the fact that they're laying track, I think is awesome. And then you put it in the notes, could the railroad return in some fashion the first half of 2022? Sure, anything's possible. I'm just hopeful that it happens before the Diamond Celebration at Walt Disney World for the 60th. This has been pretty insane. I mean, I would not say this is the most popular thing. I mean, there was never not a time where you couldn't just walk up to either station, and hop on the train. But
yeah,
I mean, what is it like? I forget. There's a podcast that I love, but at the top of every show, they list what day it is since the Walt Disney World Railroad ran. And I'm pretty sure, I know it's over 1,000. I know for sure.
Yeah. I mean, it closed in, crazy. I don't know the specific month, but it closed in 2018. Yeah. So, jeez. I mean, we're coming up on 4 years since that has been closed, and it doesn't even seem like it's been that long, but I guess it has. Man. So yeah, it closed in 2018. So yeah, we're close to 1,000. We're over 1,000.
Yeah, we're definitely over. I feel like we were talking last night. We were like, oh my gosh, we're coming up on year 3 of COVID. That's what happened. Like that. No one knows. No one can adjust time anymore because wait, COVID's 3? No way.
Yeah.
It's pretty insane. But I mean, we all know there's not a documentary that you can't watch about Walt Disney where there's not his love for those trains. And so I know something that's a big piece of Walt Disney the man, and obviously has been a big piece of the parks. And so I'm excited for that to return because it's day one attraction, right? I mean, it's something like I never anticipated. And I don't think they did either. Let's be fair, that it would be down this long. But man, it's almost like forgotten. Yeah. And the refurb on the train station might have been over 2 years. It's just been
that definitely took a while.
Yeah, it's so I'm excited. I'm not going to even say I'm hopeful, but not cautiously optimistic. Is that? Yeah. I don't know which one is better.
I mean,
whichever one is the worst.
As of right now, the schedule has it still closed through the second week of January, which will obviously be pushed out. But hopefully, we're talking if we can get it up and running by April, we'll have made the first quarter. Yeah. So
because I'm
optimistic.
I don't think that Tron has to be open for the train to run. Correct?
No, they just have to have the track built underneath of it. And I did hear, because I know they're testing it, and I'm pretty sure that I did hear the train whistle the other day when I was outside. Oh, so
sweet
that made me kind of excited. So
yeah, that's excellent.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Okay, I moved the order around a little bit because I wanted to cover some more things before we got to one that I think might take a little longer. So
yeah, that's okay. Yeah, this next one's not a huge thing.
I like it. I'm excited. Yeah.
It's kind of cool, but if you have been looking at any of the Facebook pages or the blogs, you see that Disney and Amazon have partnered up, and every hotel room on property, hopefully by the end of the first quarter, will now have their own Alexa-type device. It's going to be called Hey Disney. So I think it's kind of cool. You can just be in your room. You could be like, Hey Disney, make me an advanced dining reservation, or Hey Disney, order me a hamburger from the grill at the pool bar. I think it's a cool addition. It kind of brings the screen the blue screen when you walk into the hotel room that tells you the park hours and plays the fantastic music that you just sleep to when you're at Disney. It kind of brings that into the 21st century, right? You could just, instead of waiting for the screen to scroll through to find out, and just be like, hey Disney, what are Animal Kingdom's hours today? And so I think it's going to be a cool addition, a little perk to staying on property.
Yeah, I like it. And then like this dropped while we were all at the parks for the opening of the 50th. They dropped the news story at least and said it was going to be, early 2022. But what I was excited about is because I don't know what sizes, but I'm pretty sure what they demoed was the Echo Show 5-inch. And so we have a couple of those, and they're also going to be selling alongside of those. I don't know if you call it a cover or a skin or whatever. It's something that will go on that's like a black cover that's Mickey ears. And so I was like, that's what I was most, I was like, oh, cool. That'd be so great. Cause I have one in my office and then we have one in the kitchen. I have an Echo Show 8 in here. So if they make it for that size, great. But it's so funny. The whole purpose of this is, well, when we sit down to watch a movie, I ask her, I don't want to say her name, to like lower the lights or raise the lights or whatever. But all it does is scroll every picture from every Disney vacation that I could find either digitized or that was digital. Yeah. Like way back from like when Kim and I went the first time in like 2007. So like that's the whole purpose of it. And so like I love just looking over there and I see you and your wife like 16 times a day. There's Kim and Micaiah when she was probably 3.5 sitting in, they have the yellow glasses for Toy Story Mania. Boom. Yep. Love it. That's the whole point. Yep. So I'm excited about the at-home thing, but yeah, that's definitely, I mean, if people use that correctly, like the examples you just gave are perfect examples. Like, I mean, because think about it, like, hey, who doesn't want a hamburger from the pool bar when you're going to go to the pool, and it takes you and your kids 20 minutes to get out the door, like to get to the pool and all the crap you have to bring, right? Like to the fact that you could have like your food ready and waiting when you get there. Like, I love that. Like that's a
without having
bonus.
to go on an app and sign into the app and look for the, mobile ordering. It's just, it makes it much easier. We live in a society now where everybody just wants to be able to talk and ask for stuff. So,
I mean, even
I hope it. Go ahead.
Even the I love what they do on the screen, but if you miss that park day, you're just like either waiting there or then you have to grab your phone. But it'd be so nice to say, hey, her name, what time does Animal Kingdom close today? Boom, right? Yep. I mean, it's like, like great features that's going to bring. And like, I mean, that's that. I think you nailed it. It's definitely going to be a perk to staying on property. Yeah, that's a cool one.
I hope I use the one on property for more things than I do at home, because I'm pretty sure our Alexa at home is just a timer. we're just like, Alexa, set a 15-minute timer, and that's really all it's for.
Yes,
and turning on the Christmas tree.
I have above the computer over here, I have the Mickey Alexa clock. That is basically the only purpose of that is it's a timer. It doesn't do anything else. But what's funny is whatever Alexa that it's tied to, that's it. Like, so the clock is cool. It has the red thing and you can see it counting down the minutes. Then when it gets to 60 seconds, every second turns red and then it just slowly disappears. But when it gets to the end and goes off, it's the show that makes the noise. I was like, man, like how come the clock doesn't do it? So, but I mean, I think I got it for $40 on like a Amazon Prime Day or something. So I love it. It's really cool. I mean, and it's the analog one. So right now his hands are like this, except down. But if I had to go down, you can't see. All right, let's move on.
And I'm going to throw this one in real quick because I'm going to let you do, start the deep dive on the next one that we talk about. Okay. And I wanted to bring this one up because obviously we've talked about it. My favorite attraction at Walt Disney World, but we do know for a fact that
Haunted Mansion.
Yes.
Sorry, when you said favorite, I was going to interrupt you with my favorite.
You have converted me for sure. No,
false.
No. So Splash Mountain is going down for refurbishment on January the 10th. We know this for sure. However, Disney has made it a very strong point to say that this is not the refurbishment. This is not changing Splash Mountain from Song of the South to Princess and the Frog.
Yes.
So if you are planning on going to Walt Disney World in January, you will not be able to ride Splash Mountain. Now, this is not unheard of. It usually goes down in January because it gets cold here. And
it's like, I mean, it gives them a time to do fresh coat of paint. I mean, that's typically what it is. Clean up, probably work on some of the problem areas where boats either get hung up or it's gotten to be a rough ride. Gives them, the engineers and mechanics time to fix that. But mostly it's fresh coat of paint.
Yeah.
But certainly to fix whatever issues may have popped up throughout the year.
Yeah. So nothing too deep on that one. Just know that if you're heading there in January, as usual, you will not be able to ride Splash Mountain.
But Haunted Mansion should be open.
Haunted Mansion's open. It'll be my favorite for 3 weeks.
There you go. Okay. So let's jump in now. I know that people have beat this to death. It was pretty horrendous. And that I think is even being kind. I don't know that the right adjective exists right now for people to process what they saw. And that is we all know that in March, so this lands in the first quarter, that the Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser is launching and will officially be open. It is a smaller hotel, 2 stories, I believe, and it's a 2-day experience that ranges anywhere from, I don't know, 3,000 to 6,000. That probably doesn't include food and drinks and souvenirs and all that kind of stuff. But they released a video that 6 days after they released that video, pulled it from their channel. The backlash, I mean, I would have to go back into the archives of my brain. I'm sure there's something, but in the online world, I feel like this has to be the biggest backlash that Disney has experienced in the modern era. And maybe I'm forgetting something massively huge, but this was I don't have the word, Brandon. I don't. It was, so if you did not see the ad, it was close to 3 minutes, maybe 2.5 minutes. And the people that they chose were the wrong people. What they decided to show was not the right thing. There's a weird thing that happens in the bar, and I'm not talking about the singing. So let's just unpack this a little bit. So they released a long format commercial, basically, of showing a couple of things, showing what they want. So let's start off with the first part. The weird thing is we know this thing is done. Maybe it's not fully done, but enough that they could show the bar, enough that they could show, we've seen pictures of rooms, but littered, and that's probably the best adjective, littered throughout this ad is still 7 or 8 shots of concept art.
Yeah.
We're 90 days from opening and we're still showing. So that was a red flag right off the bat. And then next, there was a lot of scene. Most of it was taking place in a hallway, which looked like a sterile hospital ward.
Yeah.
Zero. And so why I say that, let's zoom out. So Brandon, before the show started, I kind of unloaded and talked about this. But I think this is important to talk about because the Disney that you and I know, the Disney that you and I love, the biggest thing that always jumps out to me about Disney is they pay attention to the stuff that nobody's going to notice. And what I mean by that is the intimate level of detail that Disney goes to and the Imagineers come up with and that the engineers build and bring to life. Is there's nobody that does it better. Nobody.
Yeah.
And so what I want to do is now of the 3 attractions that are currently related to Star Wars, this is not the best one, but the level of immersion that I think that you get on Smuggler's Run is second to none. I mean, as we talked about before the show, even as you're now, the queue is awesome. The queue is, but it's made up, right? This is this place where, you're coming in and landing, and they're working on ships, and Rey's ship is in there. Hopefully, I'm not ruining this for anybody, but the queue is amazing. But it's not like something you would recognize, right?
Yeah.
But once you step onto the Falcon, the detail, like the 360 views of detail is absolutely absurd. I mean, even to the point where I talk about the first thing that I noticed, I was like, when I walked in, I got giddy like a schoolgirl because the metal floor grates, like moved and made noise. And we all know that like Han Solo hidden there with Chewie, you know that there's storage in there from Finn and Ray, like, you know, I mean,
they smuggle stuff, all sorts of stuff
the
in there.
details of like the floor, and then of course the rest of it. Then you get to the table where they just popped up on the Alexa that the game that Luke Skywalker
Sabak.
and they're all playing, and then you see like in the newer movies, like all of that. And when you walk, and then of course when you go into the cockpit, you're like, oh my gosh, and then they show concept art of a Star Cruiser. Now look, okay, let me zoom out. Nobody's been on a Star Cruiser unless you starred in the film. So I get that. But there's been enough films and enough scenes and shots of being on a Star Cruiser that we know what they look like.
Yeah.
And none of them are bright and white. So I'm confused about that. I mean, I know,
me
like,
too.
Anyway, like I could go on and on and on. I highly encourage you to look it up. Where I lost my mind was they walk into the bar. The bar looks sweet. It just looks fancier than what's at Galaxy's Edge. But, and again, the level of detail in that bar at Galaxy's Edge is absurd. It's absurd. There's stuff everywhere. But the bartender hands the actor a drink and does this. Shh. I was like, Brendan, did he just shush him in a bar?
He shushed the dude in a bar and pointed to the girl who was singing. Like, name a bar anywhere in the world that would happen. The bartender's like, here's your drink. Shh.
I know. First of all,
like a silent disco or something.
I know this is only 2 stories, but first of all, there's never not going to be 847 people in that bar. Like, and it's going to be so loud. Like, I just was like, are they in a library? Is this is it Adult Swim and nobody's allowed to talk? Like, I didn't know what's going on. And then she sang, and that was now the song is pretty cool. Like, if you listen to the lyrics, like, it's really, but it's still weird. And then the actors pretending to enjoy it. It was so uncomfortable. Yes.
It was super cringy. Yeah. And we talked about this kind of before. And I think the reason that it was super uncomfortable to watch, super uncomfortable to think about going to, is what you described with the Millennium Falcon and what you described with other parts of Star Wars land, is that those things are very familiar to Star Wars fans. Those things are very familiar to people who love this world. Yep. You know, when you watch Star Wars when you were a kid, or even now, like, you're one of the number one things you want to do is sit in the cockpit of the Millennium Falcon and fly the Millennium Falcon.
For real.
So like when you get to sit down in the Millennium Falcon and be the pilot of it, like, that's a dream come true. When you want to go to Oga's Cantina, like, that's in the movies, like, you know, Oga's Cantina. So you're like, oh my God, like, that's the stage. Like, that's where, you know, that's where Han shot Greedo. Like, this is what I came for. Then you get to the Star Cruiser that is nothing to do with any of the movies.
Dr.
So
Palm.
it's this whole made up world, just like the rest of Batuu, which I don't think connects with hardcore Star Wars fans.
We land in the hotel. Dr. Palm, can you please come to the emergency ward? Like, I was like, why is everything so white and sterile? And the ceiling was just like flat and plain. And now maybe the rest of this hotel is unbelievably detailed, and maybe they didn't want you to see it, but like, here's what happened. When you went and looked at that site and went to go book a date, there wasn't anything available. Within 72 hours of that airing, there were there were multiple, there were open availabilities every week. Let's just put it that way. Not every day was available, but there were days every week that became available. And so obviously they're going to fill this back up. And so they're going to make it with They're going to get bloggers and vloggers to come in, like, the media. They'll find a way to fill this back up and make it. But a lot of the videos that I saw of people like unpacking about this, talking about it, just to be honest with you, ripping it to shreds. Yeah. Almost all of them will say like, this thing will shut down. Like, this will not like that. There's one thing. There are several cult followings that are like all over the world. Like, Star Wars is definitely one of those. You're not going to pull the wool over the eyes or sugarcoat that. Star Wars fan looked at that and said, this is a 2-day only experience that could cost me as much as $6,000. And that was what you wanted to show me to bring me in. And it literally turned them off, and they're canceling. Like, this is called, like, people are canceling. And so I don't know what factors could be in it. I'm sick and tired of blaming everything on COVID, but like, you're not going to pull the wool over the eyes of Star Wars fans. They're going to see right through this. Now, your hardcore people are like, they've been waiting for this their whole life to go live out their Star Wars fantasy. And to them, money's no object. And this is worth saving up however long they've been saving since the announcement to make it happen. Like, I was interested in going, like, I was like, man, like, I even talked to you and Matthew. I was like, man, like, what if we just like saved up and we went like in a couple of years? Like, it'd be worth doing it. Like, zero desire of going. Zero
desire. Yeah. And I agree. And I think, I don't know if you watched the Magic at Disney Parks like holiday thing that they did on
no, we haven't caught
Thanksgiving night. So on there they showed actually a couple scenes, right? They showed they took whoever the actor was, they took him to the bridge of the Star Cruiser, right? And it looks like obviously just a movie screen, and they're like jump to light space. They did all of that stuff, but it looked very cheap. It looked very cheaply done. It looked like the graphics were awful. And I feel like a lot of people were just like I'm paying $6,000 for like, Super Nintendo graphics. You know what I mean? Like, so that was one thing. And then I don't know if you saw the video where Josh D'Amaro was doing the lightsaber training.
I was going to talk about that next. In super slow motion, by the way. Please look that video up.
Please look it up. But this lightsaber training, like this is what like they hyped up. Like, you get to build your own lightsaber. There'll be a lightsaber that you can see that's only on there,
right? Excuse me.
The real lightsaber, and then they get Josh D'Amaro with his fake lightsaber, and they have these. I guess they put fog into the room, maybe, and they have these weird beams shooting out of the wall, and Josh awkwardly like turned his saber into the light beam. I mean, it looked like something that would be at the county fair. Now, I don't mean to rip on this. Like, I love Disney, and I love what they did with the rest of Galaxy's Edge.
Yeah, for sure.
I would not pay $6,000 to do anything that I've seen in any of the advertisements for this thing.
It was like, as we as we struggled our way through, like, there's nothing positive to say other than like, we just have to wait and see. That's literally the only positive thing that I could say. Because I know that obviously you don't reveal all of your, eggs
tricks
before, but like, what they chose to show didn't make any, like, there was nothing that was like, the bar was the coolest part, and it had a weird sing-songy and a shush bartender. Like, it was just weird. And then when he went into the bar, I will say this, please watch this commercial. When he went into the bar, it was like this bright glowing light, and basically the actor girl, well, not the actor, the Imagineer that I guess was the lead on this project, was like talking, and she's talking and walks off into the distance, and he like sneaks off and goes into this white light, and I was like, is he going to heaven? Like, it was, so obviously that's not where the bar is. I mean, I get that they were doing a transition, but even that was like, why did they even show that? Like, I just don't like, why didn't they just say, hey, why don't you head into the bar, and then have them like show up in the bar and then experience that, what Disney thought was a really cool moment, which wasn't. But so just be aware, once you get your drinks, there's no talking in that bar.
There's no talking, and you have to listen to a weird lady sing. That's about all you got. And you got to go to the bridge and see cheap graphics. So
And hopefully somebody's flying the ship because there was nobody in there.
I hope we are so wrong about this that we eat our words
for Star Wars fans' sake.
4 months from now, just for your sake. But I can't imagine from what we've seen so far that it's going to be very positive.
I mean, we
took a huge dive down that rabbit hole.
We did glaze over it at the beginning, but when was the last time that Disney or a company like Disney created an ad like that, launching and advertising the first real footage that anybody saw, and 6 days later, yank it?
Gone.
Like that's the bigger story. We can talk about the beep show that it was, but the bigger story was Disney pulled that commercial.
With nothing to replace it.
Whoa. If that's
right.
not a recognition of, boy, did we fumble the ball, I don't know what is.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, when you go to all those pages, you look and it's like, this image has been removed, which is what usually happens when random people post a copyrighted video in their own blog.
Right.
But here's Disney just leaving that up, not replacing it with anything. You could even make like a cool little animated Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser thing to put there, but it's just gone. So huge that Disney yanked.
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously it's not like they made this thing in a day. Like,
no,
they put some thought into the shushy bar.
I mean, it was, I don't remember the time, but like, it was roughly a 3-minute commercial. Like, that's a lot of production. That's a lot of time. And then think about everything that got cut out, right? That didn't make it into the final. Oh man.
If there was stuff cut out of that, I'd love to see that roll.
No, I wouldn't.
Oh goodness.
All right, man. Let's talk about Tron.
Oh gosh. Now, I don't think that Tron in any way is going to open in the first quarter of 2022, but we are looking ahead to the future. And I mean, the more I see of this and the more structure they get built, the more excited I am for this ride. I've checked out the YouTube video a couple times, and I'm just excited to ride this. We've talked about this. This may be a ride like I go try to get in there opening day and stand in line to ride because I'm just so excited about it. Now that they're putting the train tracks under it, once they get all that outdoor stuff done and the stuff moves inside, I anticipate that you may be able to, like, they may open up that so you can at least walk underneath of it,
right?
And kind of experience that area. But I'm excited about it. I don't think it's going to be first, maybe even second quarter of 2022, but I'm excited about Tron.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of them that, again, let's just launch through the other ones. You got Guardians, Cosmic Rewind, and then the Play Pavilion scheduled for Epcot. Like, again, we don't think that these are first quarter 22, but I expect to hear. Here's what I do expect. I expect to hear a lot more construction updates and see hopefully some posts from either Zach Ridley or Disney in general talking about the progress and how those are coming along. So that's why I'm glad that you included them in this list, because we should start hearing over the next 3 to 4 months, like, and seeing progress and hearing, seeing like Zach Ridley showing like what, kind of like they did with Creation Shop and, like showing these little sneak things of like, here's what the Imagineers are doing and creating for you. And it's going to be amazing. So I am hopeful that like more details will come, and I don't know if we'll get a date that early, but you never know. I mean, it just depends on how things go. Like I said, like, construction at this point of the year, like, is so much better because like there's way less rain, backing up the time. Certainly other things can back up your time frame, but
for sure.
Yeah.
And I did read something the other day that the higher ups, the honchos, are starting to ride the actual ride system of Guardians of the Galaxy.
Great.
So I anticipate that we are going to start seeing some more hype about that. Yeah. I know it's supposed to open in the summer of 2022. So, if that's the opening time and we stick to like cast previews and things like that, then that may in fact, start up in the first quarter of 22.
Yeah. I will say this. I always like to make this not joke, but I always like to say this. Now, when we say summer, folks, remember that goes all the way through to September 22nd.
Correct.
So just
all
remember,
to autumn.
You and your family could be back at work and back at school for 2 or 3 months before summer actually ends on the calendar. So just remember that.
Yep.
And expect another delay. Like, let's just be honest.
Correct. Correct.
All right. Why don't you talk about this is definitely your favorite ride at Animal Kingdom. And
yes. And this one's super surprising to me is that starting January the 6th, and again, we know this is happening in first quarter of 2022, starting January 6th and down for, they haven't said, because again, it's Disney, but it's going to be down for months. They are closing Expedition Everest for refurbishment. Are they fixing the Disco Yeti? No.
False.
They're never going to fix the Disco Yeti, but it is going to be down for several months. And to me, this raises some concerns, right? There is already limited activities to do at Animal Kingdom. You have your Pandora rides, you got the safari, you got dinosaur, essentially. I mean, those are that's it. So that is really going to limit the amount of activity and the amount of things to do at Animal Kingdom.
Yep.
I think I did hear somewhere that Animal Kingdom is actually going to lower capacity because there's less to do. So I wouldn't be surprised if it became a little harder to get a reservation for Animal Kingdom, just because they're trying to limit the flow of people in there. You know, Kite Tales can only entertain so many people for so many times.
Back off.
But yeah, I found it interesting. I mean, it's inevitable that these attractions have to be refurbished, you know, in a park that, especially during this time when you have limited capacity and you have limited attractions, you know, to shut something down for months is a pretty big step. Yeah. It's a pretty big deal. So
and
I was kind of shocked about that.
I think you hit the nail on the head prior to the show, and you were like, this almost certainly turns it into a half-day park for you. Like, that's kind of where you're, and that's, I mean, I think that's fair. And I will say, as long as they keep extending the hours, if you're going to make this your half-day park, folks, don't go before 2:00 in the afternoon. That park is way more cool at night. Sorry. Maybe that's just because I didn't get to experience it for so many years at night. And then when they did, it felt like a whole new experience. And then, of course, Pandora at night is like nothing you've ever seen, nothing you've ever experienced. Definitely better than the Galactic Hotel, which I haven't even seen yet. 100% better to just walk around that at night for 20 minutes.
For sure. And now's the time to do it, obviously, because it gets dark early, right? So in the summertime, Animal Kingdom closes super early. You know, most of the time you are leaving the park and it's still light outside. So take advantage of the short days until the time changes again. Hit up Animal Kingdom in the afternoon, experience all those cool things in the dark. I mean, Everest. Bless you. Everest was one of the cool. That scared me.
I'm allergic to your voice.
Everest was one of the, I love riding Everest at night.
Yeah,
so that was one of the cool things to ride at night. So you won't be able to do that, but definitely go check out Pandora. Definitely, you know, do the evening safari, like try to get on one of the last safari trucks at night if they're doing it, because the evening one is awesome. And the lion's usually out doing his little ruffy roar thing. So that's super cool to see. But yeah, definitely turned it to a half-day park when this thing closes.
And I will say, like, I do want to touch on and just mention, if you're not familiar with what we meant by, are they going to fix the Yeti? What almost everybody that's experienced that ride hasn't seen is when they built that and Joe Rohde and his team created that ride, the Yeti had much more movement than it does now. And then unfortunately, it broke. And so people have been asking for years, when are they going to fix this? Well, Joe Rohde, like, I don't know if it was in like an interview, but came out and said like they basically have to open up the mountain to be able to fix whatever's wrong with it. And so the limited movement that you see, which I think they've done good with the lights and the flashing and they've done, like, it gets the point across, but I wish I could have seen it how it was intended to be. And so that's what we mean when we say the joke of, they're not going to fix the Yeti, because it's, I forget what he said, but I think it's as extensive as pretty much pulling half the mountain off to be able to fix whatever happened to.
Essentially, they have to tear the ride down and start over again. And obviously, if you haven't been on it, we refer to it as the Disco Yeti because they create the illusion of movement by strobe lights. So that is why it's referred to as the Disco Yeti. Yes. They will always have a special place in my heart.
Yes. And there's no disco music, so don't be disappointed.
Nope, no disco music.
All right, so we'll wrap up with something that launched today, which is really cool, and that is tours are coming back to the parks. And so we've got Returning to Magic Kingdom and Animal Kingdom are Keys to the Kingdom, Wild Africa, and Caring for Giants. I'm really hoping for Behind the Seeds to come back. That's one of the most affordable, and I kick myself for never doing it. I love that attraction. Right now, if you're going, make sure to hit it at night because it is themed out for Halloween, for Christmas, or it's themed out for the holidays.
Yes.
And so that's something they've only been doing for a couple of years, and it's a really unique thing. I just love that ride. Obviously, we've had the guy who does the voice on that ride, Mike, on, and but it's just always held a special place in my heart. There's just something relaxing about it. There's typically not a wait. However, I have seen pictures this holiday season because of the holiday overlay. I think more people are interested in riding it, especially at night, but it's, And so anyway, that's not at all, that has nothing to do with what we're talking about, but tours are coming back to a couple of the parks, and I almost did Keys to the Kingdom a couple years ago. I will definitely do that one day for sure, just because of you get a quick glance behind the utilidors on that tour. So I definitely want to hit that one, but the Behind the Seeds one is definitely one I want to get hit just for my passion and love for that silly little boat attraction.
I've always wanted to do the Wild Africa check.
Yeah.
You get to go out you get to go check out elephants and rhinos. You get to get on that crazy bridge that walks over the crocodiles. So that's right up my alley. Not up Krista's alley, I don't think, but we'll see. I'd love to do one of them though.
I know. I'll go with you. I'll be your bride.
Okay. Yes. Yes.
Now, like I said, let's end the show. There's a couple of news stories. There's a couple that are worth talking about. And there was an unexpected parade down Main Street this week.
There was indeed.
If you haven't heard, there was a little fire near the castle, and I believe there was a fire truck and 2 ambulances that made their way down Main Street. So that was fun.
Which is weird. Like, that's not something I ever thought I would see, is just Reedy Creek Fire Department just driving down Main Street. I guess that's the most direct way to get to the castle if there's ever a fire in the castle. But it's just weird. I saw it start popping up on Facebook and why is there fire trucks in the middle of the Main Street? But I've heard conflicting reports. I've heard there was a fire in the kitchen of Cinderella's Royal Table.
That is not true. That's the first thing I heard.
I heard fireworks caught the tree on fire, or somebody was smoking and caught the tree on fire. So
what actually happened was there was a bush. I'm sure my guess is it had something to do with fireworks, but there was a bush. It was a
burning bush.
Yeah, there was a bush next to the castle that caught on fire. Obviously people were removed from that area, but it was extinguished by a cast member with a fire hydrant, what do they call them? A fire extinguisher. Not long before the Reedy Creek got there, but they have to, you obviously want professionals to come in and make sure that there's nothing smoldering.
There's no hot spots.
So that's why they come. And then if, people were probably wondering, why were there 2 rescue squads? Well, I have several firefighter friends. And so wherever the, fire truck goes, there's always what they refer to as the medic. A medic always goes with them, and the medic is just the rescue squad. And so that's why I don't know why there were 2, but I think it just made it all the more interesting to see online, and certainly made it fun for all the guests that were in the park.
That's right. Yeah. That was crazy to see though.
It was like Spectro Magic was back. That's where my brain went immediately.
That's right.
Yeah. And then you have some news that you wanted to talk about this week.
Yeah, and the one thing I'll bring up, and my wife and I were super unhappy about this, really, is that we just heard that for the time being, annual pass holder discounts are paused on merchandise, and this is strictly due to people abusing the system. It is due to resellers going and buying all the annual pass holder merchandise, what's that called? The vault merchandise, and then reselling it. So getting their 20% discount, selling it for a substantially higher price, and not abiding by the 2 per barcode rules. So
Yeah.
it's kind of a bummer. It ruins it for everybody. We were kind of talking about the only way really to stop that would be to change the annual pass card into some sort of scannable card, so that when you use the discount, you had to scan your card so they knew that you were the one who bought those items, so there was a way to trace it. But unfortunately there's not, so a few bad eggs have ruined it for everybody for the foreseeable future.
Couple things. I'm surprised it's taken this long for them to do it.
Yep.
But on the other hand, I want to put a positive spin on it, and I'm going to go on a limb here and say I trust Disney to come up with a system just like you mentioned. I think it's there are several great perks that do still exist for annual pass holders, and the merchandise and dining are, to me, two of the huge ones. And I wouldn't cancel my annual pass over that, but it's definitely frustrating because 20% is a lot. Like, that's a great discount.
Yeah.
That's
I mean, if you're buying something substantial, I mean, if you buy $100 item, I mean, that saves you $20.
I know.
So, I
mean,
it's
a lot.
That's a big discount.
And so I'm hopeful that they will figure out some kind of system to bring this back and figure it out. But yeah, it's unfortunate and I also don't blame Disney for cracking down on them, but the problem is hundreds of thousands of people have to suffer for probably what 1,000 people do, and that's just the nature of what it is. So I hate to end on a downer, but, we'll put a positive spin on it. Hope and believe that Disney will figure out a process to bring it back to protect them and to kind of nip it in the bud for the resellers. So
yes,
it's the holiday season, and we believe. Okay, let's transition before we wrap and talk about. So next week is Christmas week, so we're going to take the week off. We could still do a show, but we want to take the next couple of weeks and plan out. And so our next show, tentatively, if all goes well, will launch on New Year's Eve, and that will technically be our 1-year anniversary show. So let's give it some iridescent music. So we've got some people that we want to bring on that are near and dear to the show. If you would like to drop us a voicemail, we would love to hear from you, and we will play your voicemail on the show. You can always get the phone number for reaching out to us on our social media, as well as all the show notes of every show, whether it's on YouTube or whatever your podcast provider of choice is. So we're gonna have some guests and friends of the show, and maybe some past Ghost of Christmas Past
cast members.
Some past cast members. Hopeful to bring back. So thanks for being with us for a year. That's exciting to think that my wife, when it comes to my wife, she's like, "Wow, you did something and didn't quit before it was a year." Well, I'm pretty passionate about Disney.
Yeah, I agree. I say every week, I'm like, is Dave just going to text me and be like, you know what? This is the last one.
No, I'm waiting for you to bail on me. That's what I'm like. When is Brandon going to be like,
never
I'm
happen.
done?
It'll never happen.
I mean, mostly as somebody, we have been great friends way before Disney existed. And I love that this is our excuse to connect every week, because lives are busy. Like, I mean, I got 2 insanely annoying, lovable children. And I mean, like I love that we still carve out this time. We miss from time to time, but I don't know, man. I mean, we're going to get like 46 shows in out of 52 weeks. That's pretty dang good.
That's pretty good. Pretty good.
So I'm proud of what we've built. I like how it's changed, and it'll be interesting to see what 2022 brings.
Yes, indeed. Yes.
I know it brings me. I know it brings me to Disney in February, but I don't know how. Like, I think I'm just going for a day. That Thursday when I come in and you're at work, I guess I'll just go to the park for a little while, because then we go.
If you have to.
Yeah, then we're going east. Yeah,
east.
Yeah, we're going east for a few days. We're headed to the beach to go play.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love it.
So yeah.
So we will.
Dave said we're going to take next week off. So Merry Christmas to everybody who celebrates. Happy holidays to everyone else. And the next time we come back, we hope to have a fantastic celebration with you. Like Dave said, if you guys had something funny or had a favorite part of the show, shoot us a text. We'll read that online. Shoot us an email. We'll read that on the show, or leave us a voicemail. We'd love to hear from you. But we hope that we have brought you some fun stuff this year, and we look forward to doing it for many more.
Yeah. And let's go out on a limb and say 2022 might be a whole lot normal than 2021, at least when it comes to parks. Maybe it'll feel normal again. Maybe there'll be like a train and new attractions.
Yes.
I love it. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays, folks. Thanks for hanging out with us. We wouldn't do it.
Yes, indeed.
Well, we would do it without you, but we're glad that people right. We're glad that people jump into our shenanigans with us. Until next time. We'll see you later.
Bicycle.